But when you become a leader, success is about growing others. I'd like you to know that every Tuesday here on Life Center Network, we handle what we call Leader Upgrade from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. And I'm your anchor man. If you miss it for anything, your leadership ratings will be in doubt. I'd like you to know, the more you watch this, apply the things you like, your leadership rating will go high. Don't forget that it happens on Life Center Network, 2 p.m. every Tuesday, on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube. Listen, don't touch that dial. Keep watching Life Center Network TV.
Follow us on YouTube, Facebook at Life Center Network TV. Keep watching Life Center Network TV, your gateway to possibility. Thanks for watching.
Hello everyone. According to the lead pastor of Gateway International Church, my own father, Pastor George Zuma, said, when a man grows his leadership capacity, the high places of life will make room for him. And to back up that thing he said, Jack Welch, who was one time chairman of CEO of General Electric, he said, before you are a leader, success was all about growing yourself. But when you become a leader, success is about growing others. I'd like you to know that every Tuesday here on Life Center Network, we handle what we call Leader Upgrade from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. And I'm your anchor man. If you miss it for anything, your leadership ratings will be in doubt. I'd like you to know, the more you watch this, apply the things you like, your leadership rating will go high. Don't forget that it happens on Life Center Network, 2 p.m. every Tuesday, on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube. Listen, don't touch that dial. Keep watching Life Center Network TV.
Follow us on YouTube, Facebook at Life Center Network TV. Keep watching Life Center Network TV, your gateway to possibility. Thanks for watching.
Hello everyone. According to the lead pastor of Gateway International Church, my own father, Pastor George Zuma, said, when a man grows his leadership capacity, the high places of life will make room for him. And to back up that thing he said, Jack Welch, who was one time chairman of CEO of General Electric, he said, before you are a leader, success was all about growing yourself. But when you become a leader, success is about growing others. I'd like you to know that every Tuesday here on Life Center Network, we handle what we call Leader Upgrade from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m.
Everywhere. I'd like you to know that we started a discourse last week and we called it the Leadership and Followership Voyage. How to shift from a mentee to a mentor. And we read for you Isaiah chapter 55, 3-5, New Living Translations, where we said, come to me with your ears wide open, listen and you will find life. I will make an everlasting covenant with you. I will give you all the unfading love I promised to David. See how I use him to display my power among the people. I made him a leader among the nations. You also will command nations you do not know, and people unknown to you will come running to obey, because I, the Lord your God, the Holy One of Israel, have made you glorious. So we saw that, and I also read for you Proverbs chapter 12, verse 24, New Living Translation, say, work hard and become a leader. Be lazy and become a slave. And then the same Proverbs 12, 24, we read it from from the Passion Translation, that says, if you want to reign in life, don't sit on your hands. Instead, work hard at doing what's right, for the slacker will end up working to make someone else succeed. If you don't want to be a slave, don't slack. Don't lie on your hand. Don't sit on your hand. Do well. So we started, let me just review what we did last week. And I said to you that number one, that life is a race. And those who don't run to win become what? Victims of circumstances. And we said to you again that success in life revolves around leadership. And that leadership is leading yourself before leading others. And then we went ahead to define what leadership is. We said that since everything rises and falls on leadership, what then is leadership? We said number one, that leadership is taking responsibility to make life better for yourself and for others. We use Abraham Lincoln as an example. Number 2, leadership is winning influence over people through service. Number 3, we said that leadership is bearing the goal burden of a task and working to achieve it. We use the Messi and Mbappe as an example. Number 4, we said that leadership is going ahead of your mates and producing results superior to theirs. Wow. Number 5, we say leadership is anything you do and any service you render to add value to life. And then we said that the fulfillment of leadership is knowing that your life has made other lives better. And we said that someone must reference you. We gave example of how Mark Zuckerberg was mentored by Steve Jobs. We gave example of how Bill Gates was mentored by Warren Buffett. And we gave example of how Sir Frederick Locker had an influence on Richard Branson. And then we said that with all this definition, we know that there were some 6 common misconceptions people have about leadership. We said a lot of people confuse leadership with what? Headship, big titles, and fame. So we said that the first common misconception people have about leadership is what we call my oga at the top, which is what? The oga at the top, that means position misconception that leaders are people who occupy big office. If you occupy big office, that does not make you a leader. The second misconception is the Superman achievement misconception, which means that leaders are those who do extraordinary things. Leaders are not those who do extraordinary. Leaders are those who do ordinary things in an extraordinary way. The third misconception is what we call the ITK expert. I do know expert misconception, which means leaders have answers to every life problem. Leaders don't have answer to every life problem. So the fourth misconception is the what we call the idol perfection misconception. Leaders don't have the struggles of ordinary people. No, leaders have the struggle of ordinary people. But with the struggle, they are still trying to do something for their generation. The fifth common misconception we have about leadership is authority. The boss man authority misconception, which means leaders are those who rule over others. That once you rule over others, you are a leader. It's a misconception. That's not what leadership is all about. And then we looked at the last one, which one is the born great. That leaders are those people born with leadership qualities or leadership charisma. No, they are not born great. They are not born with leadership charisma. You might see some traits, but what they do, they begin to grow it. So, having looked at all of this, we looked at the division of leadership, we looked at the 6 common misconception of leadership, the Superman, the guy at the top, the achievement, and all of that. Now, that brings me to 3 thoughts today. The first thought I want to bring to your mind that no one has a right to ask his generation to follow him if he has no journey to take. Because your journey in leadership begins with a vision. You can't ask a generation to follow you if you have no journey to take. You say, my lead pastor will always say that nobody can follow a parked car. When you follow a parked car, all you'll be doing is pa 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 pa. So if you have no journey to take in vision, you cannot ask people to follow you. Because, please, I need to take time to explain this. Why I rushed through the other ones, because are the things I handled last week. But like this week again, I'm going to take time to explain this thing. Your journey begins with your vision. Listen to me. It doesn't matter the mountain of influence you occupy, the mountain of religion, the mountain of family, the mountain of politics, the mountain of media, the mountain of art and entertainment, the mountain of family, the mountain of business. If you have no vision, you cannot ask anybody to follow you. In fact, John Maxwell said, the first responsibility of leadership is to define reality. And that is, what journey are we taking? What journey are we taking? My pastor said, a tree that is not bigger than you cannot give you a shade. No one can ask a generation to follow him if you don't have any journey to take at all. You don't have a journey to take in politics. You ask people to journey follow you. You don't have a journey to take in media. You ask a generation to follow you. You don't have a journey to take in education. You don't have a journey to take in business. You must have a journey to take, because your journey begins with your vision. Where are you going to? What future can you take a bullet for? Why would South Africa follow a man called Nelson Mandela? Even when he was in prison for 27 years, he had a journey to take. He was fighting for freedom. That was his journey. South Africa must be free. So the first key thought is that no one has a right to ask his generation to follow him if he has no journey to take, because your journey begins with your vision. Can I ask you a question? What journey do you have? What vision do you have? Martin Luther King Jr. said, a man who has no journey to take, or rather, a man who has no battle or vision to live for, has no reason to be alive. So, what journey you have to take? That's the first key thought. The second key thought is, it is not necessary to be the best, but it is necessary to do your best. It is not necessary to do the best, to be the best, but it is what? It is necessary to do your best. Why? Leaders are not extraordinary people. They are just ordinary people who chose to put in extra. Leaders are not extraordinary people. They are just ordinary people who chose to put out what? The extra. Why? The difference between ordinary and extraordinary is in the extra on the individual. So when we talk about extraordinariness and that leaders are not extraordinary people, they are just ordinary people who decided to put in the extra. Now, when you put in the extra, what extra do they put in? That extra that makes them different. What makes the extraordinary different from ordinary is the extra. What is the extra thing they put? Number one, they put in extra knowledge. Number two, they put in extra service. Number three, they put in extra diligence. Number four, they put in extra discipline. Number five, they put in extra persistence. And number six, they put in extra sacrifice. I shared with you a story of a young man, his name is James, who in 1936 Berlin Olympic, he won 4 gold medals, 100 meters, 200 meters, high jump, and it's the high jump history record took 22 years to be broken. Why? He just put in extra knowledge in his field, extra service in what he does, extra diligence, extra discipline, extra persistence, and extra sacrifice. So it is not necessary to be the best, but it is necessary to do your best. Leaders are not extraordinary people. They are just ordinary people who decided to put in the extra. And you're asking me, what extra do I need to put in? I say, number one, extra knowledge. Go for knowledge. Number two, extra service. Your reward in life will always be in direct proportion to your contribution of service in the marketplace. Number three, put in extra diligence. Number four, put in extra discipline. Number five, put in extra persistence. And number 7, put in extra sacrifice. That is the difference. The difference between ordinary and extraordinary is in the extra an individual is willing to give. I would say that extra is in extra knowledge, extra service, extra diligence, extra sacrifice, extra persistence, extra. That brings me to the third point, the third key thought, which is what? The more you grow your leadership capacity, the more the high places of life will make room for you. The more you grow your leadership capacity, the more the high places of life will make room for you. You see, when you read the book of Psalm 78, 70 to 72, the Bible was talking about David, how God chose him from following the sheep, from taking care of his father's sheep, to now shepherd the nation Israel. He said, even though he was chosen, do you know David needed to do something? He needed to grow capacity. The Bible says in verse 72 that he led them with the integrity of his heart and with the skillfulness of hands. So integrity is not enough to lead the people. You need to add skill. Good heart is good, but only good heart will not deliver extraordinary leadership. So the more you grow your leadership capacity, the more the high places of life will make room for you. You see, before now, all I do is maybe some places they will just invite me to come and talk to some persons. But the more I began to grow my leadership capacity, they started inviting me outside the state, paying my bills, booking flights, picking me up from the airport. Before now, it wasn't possible. But the more I'm growing my leadership capacity, the high places of life is making room for me. The more I'm growing, because when you increase leadership capacity, what you do, you earn more. What do you earn more when you increase your leadership capacity? You earn more response. Number 2, you earn more respect. Number 3, you earn more recognition. And number 4, you earn more reward. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. I didn't know that this would be very brief. But then we can delve into, there are 5 things that help men transition from mentees to mentors. So today I'll handle only one. There are 5 things that help men transition from mentees to mentors. Today I'm going to handle only one, and that is having the mindset of a difference maker. There are 5 things that help men transition from mentees to mentors, from followers to leaders. There are 5. So today I'm going to handle one, and I will stop with that one, and I review all we have done, and I move to the next thing next week. The first thing that helps people or mentees transition to mentors, followers to leaders, average to high class person is what? Okay, I'll mention the 5 things and then I'll take only one today. Number 1, when you have the mindset of a difference maker. I'm going to explain that later. Number 2, when you understand the power of an impact of one person. Number 3, when you aspire to become the first among equals. Number 4, when you experience the joy of being used of God. And number 5, when you are desperate to leave a mark on a generation. Like I said to you today, I'm going to take only one, which is what? Having the mindset of a difference maker. After taking this number 1, I'll go through all we did last week and what I've added today, and I will stop. I am taking is a journey I want you to enjoy. It's a journey I want to, don't forget, it's leadership and followership voice. So it's a journey. I'm going to teach you how people transition from an average to a high class person, from mediocrity to excellent, from mentee to a mentor, from a follower to a leader. That's what I'm teaching. So it's not something I'm in a hurry to unpack values. I just want to take it gradually. So today I'm talking about when you have the mindset of a difference maker, you will transition from a follower to a leader. Different makers contribute their quota no matter how small. That's the first thing I want you to understand. Different makers, they do what? They contribute their quota no matter how small. Don't say, well, if I by the grace of God, my lead pastor gives me a privilege to pastor one of our branches. And you have members that will tell you, Pastor, you see, I'm only earning 10,000 naira now. When I start earning 50,000 naira, I'll give this church 20,000. It's not true. He said, I'm not paying tithe for now. Okay, I'm earning only 50,000. By the time I start earning 500,000, I'll start dropping heavy tithe. No, we pay equal. It's equal sacrifice. It is 10% that is required of you. You couldn't pay 500 naira when you earn 5,000 naira. When you earn 50,000, you will not pay 5,000 naira. Different makers contribute their quota, no matter how small. Whatever thing you do, if you aspire to make a difference in this generation, contribute your quota. I told a story, very funny story, but it's very inspiring for me, or the lesson is mind-blowing, about the young man who was walking by the seashore, and he saw that the tide from the sea had thrown so many fishes outside the sea. They were just by the seashore there. So this young man, started picking these fish, was throwing them back into the seashore. He would pick one, he would pick up one, throw it back into the seashore. He would pick up one, throw it back. So another man was passing by and said to him, young man, how many fishes can you pick and throw back into the sea? How many? There are so many of them here. And you are picking one and throwing, picking and throwing. You know what the young man did? He bent down and picked one more fish and threw it into the sea. You know what he said? At least I've made a difference in this one. Don't try to impact the nation. Don't try to impact a community. Don't try to impact the globe. Don't try to impact the whole village. Just impact one person. Different makers contribute their quota, no matter how small. You see, when you follow, I'm spending time on this because I want this thing to sink. If you're a different maker, don't say, no, I don't have 50 million. I want to touch people's lives, so I want to give people 50. I want to be a philanthropist. Excuse me. Like my pastor will say, you say you want to be a world-class evangelist. Start by being a street evangelist. Just start in your street. You see, it was Mother Teresa that said, I cannot do great things, but if I do small things in a great way, I've impacted one. He said, if all of us can just sweep the corner of our frontage and keep it clean, the whole world will be clean. Don't say, no, I want to sit down, I will sweep the street, I'll sweep everywhere. No, just sweep keep your own house clean. So, different makers contribute their quota, no matter how small. One of the ways to discern your calling in life is by the things that stir your passion. One of the ways to discern your calling in life is by the things that stir your passion. What stirs your passion? A woman called Mother Teresa saw a poor people in Calcutta or whatever in Cuba and decided to take care of them. She didn't have all the money. She didn't have all the money, but she started making a difference in one person or the other, one person or the other. Before you know it, the resources came. Why? One of the ways to discern your passion in life or your calling in life is by the things that stir up your passion. What is it that when you see not done well, it troubles you? Or when you see it done well, you applaud it? It stirs up your passion. What brought Nehemiah to becoming a wall builder? Because when he was told, his friend, his cousin Hanani came back and told him the state of Jerusalem, how it is in a deplorable state, how the walls are broken. He stirred up his passion, showing that he has a calling in rebuilding the wall of Jerusalem. He stirred up his passion. As against his work in the palace as the cupbearer, you are not supposed to appear before the king sad. He entered the palace with a sad countenance, not minding whether it will kill him. Because in those days, if you appear before the king sad, you are just, the next thing is for you to be executed. But something was stirring up his passion. That was his calling. And the king looked at him and said, why are you sad? Not just, he didn't even pretend. He would have said, sorry, okay, I'm not sad. Oh, no, I'm not sad. He said, no, why won't I be sad? Jerusalem wall is in a deplorable state. My father's house is not in the right shape. That's how you know your calling, by the things that stir up your passion. What about Gideon? What about Gideon? Gideon was just there, threshing floor to hide it from the Midianites. And then an angel of the Lord came there, knowing his passion, knowing that something is stirring up his calling. You have a calling to deliver Israel from the hands of the Midianites. And then he was there. The angel came and greeted him and said, thou mighty man of valor, the Lord is with you. And he was perplexed. How can this man be greeting me? He turned and looked and said, maybe you're in the wrong place. This greeting is a wrong address. Because he looked around and said, a mighty man of valor who is threshing, doing business in his father's farm, and is hiding it from the enemies. If I am a mighty man of valor, I can stand and face the enemy in battle. But I'm hiding it from this thing below. This farm is my father's business. But I'm threshing, I'm harvesting, I'm hiding it from the enemy. And the angel said, you can go in this thy might. Why? It was something was discerning. His calling was being designed by what was stirring up his passion. You see, leaders are passionate about making a difference. 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 I was watching the Copa America Cup that ended on Sunday morning, that breaking Monday. In the final, Argentina versus Colombia, do you know Messi was injured at the first half, and he told his coach not to remove him. He persevered. Why? Leaders are passionate about making a difference. This is 4 major trophies this same team has won in the last how many years. They said, oh, you know, when they were playing, I think it was the quarterfinal that he missed the first penalty against, was it Ecuador? Messi was so troubled, he was crying. And you know what happened? The other team members said to him, we are going to win this match for you. And the other 4 scored their own penalty. And their goalkeeper said, I am going to stop at least 2 penalties. He did. Leaders are passionate about making a difference. Question: what are the characteristics of difference makers? What are the features of those who want to make a difference? Different makers. Those who make a difference in their generation, they have characteristics. There is a way we know them. There is a way we know them. The first way we know them, they face life with a yes attitude. When they see a challenge, they tell themselves who can surmount it. They face life with a yes attitude. You see, when Argentina got to that quarterfinal, and after, of course, they won and then got to semi-final, they told themselves, since Angel Di Maria is retiring from international football, they also said they're going to win this tournament for him. Why? Difference makers, they face life with a yes attitude. They face life with a yes attitude. They don't look at life and say, we don't know what to do, we are confused, we are frustrated. No. They face life with a yes attitude. When Nehemiah went to rebuild the wall of Jerusalem, all the resources were not there, but when he moved, the king sent the resources for him. Even when they went there, the enemies were fighting Sanballat and Tobiah, Geshem and the rest of them. But because leaders face life, different makers face life with a yes attitude, Nehemiah told his guys, hold the sword in one hand and hold your walking tool in the other hand. As for this wall of Jerusalem, we're going to rebuild it. different makers, they face life with a yes attitude. Don't forget that at some point that they sacked Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple, and then when it was 90 days, Apple was facing bankruptcy. They called Steve Jobs back, and he looked at the company and said, even though this is 90 days to bankruptcy, I am going to face life with a yes attitude because I'm a difference maker. And he took over Apple again, and Apple entered into profit making. Why? Different makers, they face life with a yes attitude. I don't know what is happening around you now. You're a leader in politics, leader in family, leader in ministry, leader in religion, leader in business, leader in media, leader in arts and entertainment. If you face life with a yes attitude, telling yourself this is not a hopeless situation. For every obstacle, there are opportunities. For every obstacle, there are opportunities. In other words, we are saying that different makers are optimistic, because an optimist sees opportunity in every obstacle, whereas a pessimist sees obstacle in every opportunity. So the first characteristics of a different maker is that he faces life, she faces life, they face life with a yes attitude. The second attitude, the second characteristics, the second feature, the second snapshot of a different maker is that they take ownership of vision and challenges. They take ownership of vision and challenges. They take, even if you are not seeing the slide scrolling, just listen, you'll get it. They take ownership of vision and challenges. Whenever a difference maker takes any vision, they take it as their own. They don't say, no, like in church, I'm not the lead pastor. It belongs to them. By the grace of God, I have taken church planting as my own vision, and I've owned it and the challenges that come with it. Yes, the ones I can't handle, I take it to my lead pastor. Different makers, they take ownership of visions and challenges. You see, when they take ownership of visions and they don't say, well, it's not my fault, it is Susie's fault, no, it is Josepha's fault. They take ownership. They take ownership. They take ownership. It was Abraham Lincoln that said that responsibility is the price of greatness. Responsibility is the price of greatness. So, different makers, they take ownership of visions and challenges. When they own a vision, when challenges come with it, they also take the challenges. That's how different makers, because they are eager to make a difference. They are eager to contribute that their small quota to make a difference. The third characteristics of a difference maker, they see themselves as divine instruments. They see themselves as divine instruments. Whenever they own a vision, whenever first they face life with a yes attitude, they own the vision and challenges. They also see themselves as this is what God has just, this is an opportunity to showcase God. So I'm a divine instrument. God wants to use me to bring glory to his name. God wants to use me to bring glory to his name. In that business, God wants to use me to bring glory to his name. Laban says something about Jacob in Genesis chapter 30 verse 27. He said to Jacob, I have learned by experience that God has blessed me because of you. Can your company, can your organization, the way you work, can they say God has blessed that organization because of you? Because you are a staff? God has blessed your church because you are there. God has blessed your company because you are there. God has blessed your family because you are there. You know, when Mordecai said to Esther, if you all together hold your peace, he said deliverance and enlargement will come to Israel, but you and your father's house will suffer. Do you know, if you have been brought to the kingdom for such a time as this, different makers see themselves as divine instruments. Do you know why you are in Gateway for such a time as this? Do you know why you are in that family for such a time as this? Do you know why you are working in that company for such a time as this? Do you know why you are in Nigeria for such a time as this? Do you know why you are the president for such a time as this? Different makers see themselves as divine instruments. I am sent, I am sent me. It's a message, it's a thriller that my pastor released so many years ago. I am sent, I am sent me. So, different makers see themselves as what? Divine instruments. That brings me to number 4. I'm looking at character. I told you I'm going to focus on, I'll just go back to the 3 thoughts I've given to you and then end it with this one. We said there are 5 things that make men to transition from mentees to mentor, from followers to leaders, from average to excellent, and all of that. So I'm looking at the 4th characteristics of a different maker. Number 4, they look at the human condition with eyes of empathy. They look at the human condition with the eyes of empathy. You see, I remember a story a pastor told when I was in Kano State. He said when he was much younger that he saw a pastor who had first baby a girl, second baby a girl, and then third baby a girl. And he said they will be believing God for a baby boy. And he said he opened his mouth and told the pastor, he said, because you are not praying well, that's why you are only having baby girls. He said this thing to this person when he was a younger person. He wasn't married, but he said that to a married man. He was a pastor too. He said, because you didn't pray well, that's why you're having baby girls, baby girls. If you pray well, you have a baby boy. He didn't know God was waiting for him. He got married, he became a pastor. First baby, a girl. Second baby, a girl. Third baby, a girl. And then he began to pray and ask God to show him mercy. And God said to him, 15 years ago, you told a servant of mine that it is because he didn't pray well. That's why he's having baby girls. So you can as well pray well, so you can have a baby boy. You see, when different makers come into the scene, they look at the human condition with eyes of empathy. They try to put themselves in your shoes. Esther said, I am going to see the king, but first, I'm going to fast for 3 days. My maidens and I are going to fast for 3 days. And after that, I am going to see the king. If I perish, I perish. Why? Esther had put herself in the shoes of the Jews who were in Shushan. They look at human conditions with eyes of empathy. When Jesus arrived at the tomb of Lazarus, he didn't say, all of you are here, so why can't you people pray and bring him out? The Bible says, and Jesus wept. He looked at the human condition with the eyes of empathy. There are people passing through a lot. When you counsel people, what is in your mind? Particularly when you see us counseling somebody who fell into sin, who is a Christian. You talk to the person from the point of view that you have arrived. That's why in Galatians chapter 6 verse 2 said, if a man be overtaken in a fault, he that is spiritual should restore such a one, bearing in mind yourself also that you can be tempted. Different makers look at human conditions with the eyes of what? Empathy, not pity. Empathy. Empathy. They try to prove a solution. Number 5 characteristics of a different maker. I'm spending time today on the characteristics of a difference maker. The 5th characteristic is that they insist on how things ought to be. They insist on how things ought to be. Do you see? When a difference maker is looking at you, he doesn't talk to you on how you are. He's talking to you how you ought to be and who you can become. Different makers. And lastly, they pay the price to achieve the expected end. We are looking at what? The characteristics of what? Of a difference maker. What we are looking at is what? The leadership and the followership voyage. How mentees transition, how people transition from a mentee to a mentor, from a follower to a leader, from average to high performance, from mediocrity to excellence, from one level to another level. That's what we're talking about. And then we have looked at all. We looked at first by giving you some thoughts. We see here. So first by giving you what the definition of leadership is. So it's taking responsibility to make life better for yourself and for others. We say leadership is winning influence over people through service. We say leadership is bearing the goal burden of a task and working to achieve it. We say that leadership is going ahead of your mates and producing results superior to theirs. I would say that leadership is anything you do and any service you render to add value to life. And we said that the fulfillment of leadership is knowing that your life has made other lives better. And then we said that even though we know we have this definition, some people still have what we call misconception about leadership. And so the first common misconception is what? The Oga at the top position misconception, which means that there's people that are saying that leaders are people who occupy big offices. That if you don't have any big office, you are not a leader. It's a misconception. The second misconception is the Superman achievement misconception. So leaders are those who do extraordinary things. It's a misconception. It brought us to the third misconception, which is I do know expert misconception, that leaders have answers to every life problem. It's a misconception. And then we said that there's one we call the idol perfection misconception. Leaders don't have the struggles of ordinary people. It's a misconception. Leaders have struggles. And that brought us to the one, the bossman authority misconception. Leaders are those who rule over others. And I said, the last one is the born great destiny misconception. Leaders are people born with leadership word charisma. And then today we started with the three thoughts. The first thought is that no one has a right to ask his generation to follow him if he has no journey to take, because your journey begins with your vision. Your journey begins with your vision. The second thing we say that leaders are not extraordinary people. They are just ordinary people who chose to put in extra. Leaders are not extraordinary people. Leaders are ordinary people who chose to add the extra. And then he said, it is not necessarily to be the best, but it is necessary to do your best. The difference between ordinary and extraordinary is in the extra an individual is willing to give. And so what is the extra? We say extra knowledge. Number 2, extra service. Number 3, extra diligence. Number 4, extra discipline. Number 5, extra persistence. Number 6, extra sacrifice. And then we said, the third point, the more you grow your leadership capacity, the more the high places of life will make room for you. The more a man grows his leadership capacity, the more the high places of life will make room for you. And we said when you increase leadership capacity, you earn more. Earn more what? More response, more respect, more recognition, and more reward. When you increase leadership capacity, you earn more response, more respect, more recognition, and more reward. And then we said, There are 5 things that help men transition from mentees to mentors. We say number 1, when they have the mindset of a difference maker, they want to make a difference in life. Number 2, when they understand the power and the impact of one, that one person can actually at least make a contribution. Number 3, when they aspire to become the first among equals. Number 4, when they experience the joy of being used of God. And number 5, when they are desperate to leave a mark on a generation. And today we only looked at one, which is what? The mindset. Having the mindset of a difference maker. And we said that different makers contribute their quota, no matter how small. Different makers contribute their quota, no matter how small. And so one of the ways to discern your calling in life is by the things that stir your passion. We say Nehemiah was a cupbearer, but something was stirring his passion to rebuild the wall of Jerusalem. Gideon was threshing floor to hide it from the Midianites, but something was stirring his passion, and that is deliverance for the Jews. Leaders are passionate about making a difference. Leaders are passionate about making a difference. And we said, what are the characteristics of difference makers? Difference makers. Number 1, they face life with a yes attitude. This thing can change. This thing has a solution. They face life with a yes attitude. Number 2, they take ownership of visions and challenges. They take ownership of vision. They don't apportion blame. It is this person's fault. No, they take ownership of vision and challenges. Number 3, they see themselves as divine instrument. God wants to use me. It's a privilege to be used of God. They see themselves as divine instrument. Number 4, they look at human conditions with the eye of empathy. They look at human condition with eyes of empathy. Number 5, they insist on how things ought to be, not how it is today. How this thing ought to be. And number 6, they pay the price to achieve the expected end. Next, we will continue with the other things that will help us grow. But I'd like you to know that this is the upgrade that happens every Tuesday here on Life Center Network, on Instagram, on YouTube, on Gateway International Impact Mentoring Outreach, and all of that on Fulcrum International. And we unpack values for you that will help your leadership journey. And we say to you, once you take in oxygen, you are a leader. Today we'll spend time. We started last week on the journey, the leadership and the followership voyage. How people transition in life from followership to leadership, from mentees to mentors, from average to high performance, from mediocrity to excellent. Just name it. And then we looked at the definition of leadership. We gave you 6 definitions of leadership. And then we looked at the 6 misconceptions, 6 common misconceptions about leadership. Some people think it's headship, some title, and the rest of them. We have looked at all of that. And today we came to you to give you 3 thoughts. Those 3 thoughts that no one has a right to ask a generation to follow him if he has no journey to take, because your journey begins with a vision. And then we said again, leaders are not extraordinary people. Leaders are ordinary people who decide to put in the extra. And then we came again and told you that when a man grows his leadership capacity, the high places of life will make room for him. We told you the extra thing you need to do: extra knowledge, extra service, extra diligence, extra discipline, extra persistence, and extra sacrifice. And then said, when a man grows his leadership capacity, the high places of life begin to make room for him. When you increase leadership capacity, you earn more what? 1, more response. Number 2, more respect. Number 3, more recognition. And number 4, more reward. Till I come your way again, don't forget my name is Emeka Carlo. I'm the director for church planting. I coordinate the satellite churches, also pastor our church in Trans Amadi, the Spirit Arena, just opposite Golf Estate. Come and be blessed in our 2 services and all that. But don't forget that we are in our appointed season of visitation, appointed season of encounters, which is Vigils of Destiny and Midnight Cry. Every day in the month of July, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we come to you. This is the Midnight Cry edition, 10:30 p.m. Live Center Network on YouTube, George Zuma YouTube channel, Facebook, Gateway International Church, Super FM 93.3, Mixer Radio. We come to you 10:30 p.m. until 12 or 12:15 a.m. every Sunday to Thursday. And by Friday, we gather at the Altar of Mercy and all the satellite churches and also online for the Vigils of Destiny. Last week was Corrosive with Reverend Ntiantia. And this week we are having Reverend Sam Oye all the way from the Transforming Church, Abuja. Don't miss it for anything. But this night, connect again for the Midnight Cry. This night, that evil tree must be uprooted in the precious name of Jesus Christ. My name is Emeka Carlo. This is Leader Upgrade. Don't downgrade your dream. Keep upgrading your dream until your dream meets up where you are. God bless you. I pray for you that in this generation, to be said that you transition from a follower to a leader. You transition from a mentee to a mentor. You transition from average performance to high performance average. You transition from mediocrity to excellence in the precious name of Jesus Christ. As you go out this week, go out with the mindset that you want to make a difference. Contribute your quota, because different makers contribute their quota no matter how small. Till I come your way again, stay blessed and keep upgrading. Thank you.
Hello everyone. According to the lead pastor of Gateway International Church, my own father, Pastor George Zuma, said, when a man grows his leadership capacity, the high places of life will make room for him. And to back up that thing he said, Jack Welch, who was one-time chairman of CEO of General Electric, he said, before you are a leader, success was all about growing yourself. But when you become a leader, success is about growing others. I'd like you to know that every Tuesday here on Life Center Network, we handle what we call Leader Upgrade from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. And I'm your anchor man. If you miss it for anything, your leadership ratings will be in doubt. I'd like you to know, the more you watch this, apply the things you like, your leadership rating will go high. Don't forget that it happens on Life Center Network, 2 p.m. every Tuesday, on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube. Listen, don't touch that dial. Keep watching Life Center Network TV.
Follow us on YouTube, Facebook at Life Center Network TV. Keep watching Life Center Network TV, your gateway to possibility. Thanks for watching.